A federal judge in Washington has this evening ordered that President Trump's former White House counsel, Don McGahn, must obey a congressional subpoena and appear before lawmakers. He had been called to testify about the Mueller report. The ruling late today has implications for Trump aides who have refused to testify at impeachment hearings. Separately, the chair of the U.S. House Intelligence Committee, Democrat Adam Schiff, said today that his panel will report soon after the Thanksgiving recess. He said the evidence, quote, conclusively shows that the president tried to force Ukraine to aid his re-election campaign. The president today defended his actions in the Edward Gallagher case. The Navy SEAL was acquitted of murdering an Islamic State militant, but convicted of posing for a photo with the body. Last week, the president rejected forcing Gallagher out of the SEALs. Instead, he will retire from the Navy. Today, meeting with Bulgaria's prime minister, Mr. Trump said he is sticking up for Gallagher and those like him.
He was a great fighter. He was one of the ultimate fighters. Tough guy. These are not weak people. These are tough people. And we're going to protect our war fighters. And I've been given a lot of thank yous.
Amid the uproar, the Secretary of the Navy, Richard Spencer, was fired on Sunday. Today, his boss, the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, accused Spencer of dealing secretly with the White House in the Gallagher matter. We'll discuss all of this after the news summary. The U.S. Supreme Court refused today to order a new trial for a Baltimore man featured in the hit podcast Serial. Adnan Syed was convicted of murdering an ex-girlfriend in high school. He is serving now a life sentence. Syed's lawyers had argued the podcast series found new evidence that warranted a new trial. The High Court rejected the appeal without comment. A Chinese woman convicted of trespassing at the president's Mar-a-Lago estate will be released next week and deported. Yu Jingzhang was sentenced today to 8 months in prison, but she's already been jailed nearly that long. She illegally entered the Palm Beach resort in March and lied to federal agents afterward. The head of Iran's hardline Revolutionary Guard threatened the U.S. and others today over last week's protests in his country. Hossein Salami accused the U.S. plus Britain, Israel, and Saudi Arabia of fomenting demonstrations over a fuel tax hike. He spoke at a rally of tens of thousands of government supporters in Tehran, and he warned that the regime will answer its enemies.
Wait for our response. If you cross our red lines, we will destroy you. We will not leave any move unanswered. We will not remain indebted to any superpower and will settle scores with all of them. Just wait.
Amnesty International says that at least 140 people have died in a crackdown on these protests. Tehran has not given an official number. A grim new warning today on climate change. The World Meteorological Organization reports that greenhouse gases in the atmosphere have reached a new record. The UN agency says that concentrations of carbon dioxide are 50% higher than before the Industrial Revolution. The group's head warns that current efforts to reverse the trend are simply not enough. Russia's athletes may be facing a 4-year ban over doping. They would have to compete as neutrals, including at next year's Summer Olympics. A committee of the World Anti-Doping Agency made the recommendation today. It said that hundreds of positive drug tests are missing from Russian lab data. A final decision is due next month. Back in this country, the newest entry into the Democratic presidential race has made his first campaign appearance. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg announced on Sunday. Today, the 77-year-old billionaire was in Norfolk, Virginia.
I will be the only candidate in this race who isn't going to take a penny from anyone and will work for $1 a year, just as I did for 12 years in New York City Hall. I've been using my resources for the things that matter to me. I was lucky enough to build a successful company. It has been very successful, and I've used all of it to give back to help America.
Bloomberg becomes the 18th candidate vying for the Democratic nomination for president. McDonald's agreed today to pay $26 million in a settlement with employees in California. A long-running class action lawsuit alleged that the company denied overtime pay and timely breaks, among other things. Nearly 38,000 people would be compensated if the settlement wins court approval. The ride-sharing giant Uber has lost its license to operate in London for the second time in recent years. City officials said today that unauthorized drivers got past Uber's security and carried out thousands of rides. The company will appeal today's decision. It says that facial recognition technology is addressing the problem in Britain and in the U.S. Two major players in online stock trading are joining forces. Charles Schwab announced today that it is buying TD Ameritrade for $26 billion, pending federal approval. On Wall Street today, that buyout and hopes for the China trade talks push stocks higher. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 190 points to close at 28,066. The Nasdaq rose 112 points, and the S&P 500 added 23. And a U.S. military dog named Conan got a White House welcome today. The Belgian Malinois starred in the raid that led to the death in Syria of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the leader of the Islamic State group. Today, President Trump presented the animal that he called probably the world's most famous dog. Conan was injured during the raid, but has since recovered. Still to come on the NewsHour, Hong Kong's protesters go to the polls. What does it mean for the pro-democracy movement? The military clashes with the president over an accused war criminal. Amy Walter and Tamara Keith are here to break down the latest political headlines, plus much more.
This is the PBS NewsHour from WETA Studios in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.